Ian Rappaport's a good NFL reporter. He was talking last week on the Pat McAfee show, and he said the Jordan Love thing's not going to be like Patrick Mahomes. He said, we got something. They knew in advance Patrick was really good. He said, that's not like that in Green Bay. So I remember the first year Mahomes got drafted, and he didn't play until the last week, but video started coming out in camp of Patrick Mahomes making plays. Peter Schrager came to me and said, look at this piece of video. You can't believe this video. So the reason that video got out, Kansas City was willing to let it out because it was practice video and the kind of practice video from a tower that you don't normally get. But they wanted to show people, yeah, our draft pick, it's something special. Watch out. I remember 3 years ago when Daniel Jones got drafted at number 6 by Dave Gettleman, and it was roundly criticized as a reach. And I never forget the first camp. Suddenly video, slow-mo video of Daniel Jones, it looked like Chariots of Fire, with completing passes, beautiful throws, slow-mo. It got out because the Giants were trying to, reduce the inflammatory comments on Dave Gettleman, who's since been fired. Jordan Love has been with the Packers for 4 years. You cannot find one intense wow moment of practice video. Not one. I was told in the last 72 hours by an incredibly connected Green Bay source. I'm not telling you if it's a current Packer or it's a former one. I'll protect him. But he said when he was around him for multiple years, he never saw a wow pass. He never saw a wow moment. And this player doesn't or didn't always love Aaron Rodgers. Maybe that's why he talks to me. But he said, 4 years, 3 years, I never saw the juice. I never saw it. So I went and looked this morning. Joe Burrow's first camp in Cincinnati. USA Today headline. Joe Burrow rips through the Bengals' first-team defense. That was the first OTA. Later that camp, Zach Taylor, quote, Burrow's been great, as advertised. Amazing player. 4 years, Jordan Love, Zippo. It's excitement that couldn't be contained with Mahomes or Joe Burrow. People talk. If you went to a movie and it was a great movie, would you wait 4 years to tell anybody? If you went to your local casino or your local, theater and saw a great comedian, would you wait 4 years to tell anybody? You'd call him the next morning. You'd text him on the way home. 4 years, nothing. It reminds me, if you listen to all the wording from the Packers over the last year, it's been patience. Let's temper expectations. It sounds like a doctor. You ever go to a doctor's office and they're not quite sure what it is, but they say stuff like, we need to take another x-ray. Or we don't think it's anything, but let us take one more look. Let's be patient. Let's wait until we see more. That's usually not great news. And so when the source told me in the last 3 days, no juice, no wow, multiple years, it aligns with the reason that we're getting no video from him. We're also getting no video the last 2 years from Trey Lance at practice. It's always that little throw back and forth stuff. It's never like real practice footage, what you saw early with Patrick Mahomes. Teams want it out, it gets out. Green Bay doesn't want it out. So this is free agent week in the NBA. Friday is the official day, meaning the stuff's going to get consummated here Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Sort of like the NFL trade deadline. The stuff all gets wrapped up far before. And so the real question, the real player hanging out there, Draymond Green, but he's going to go back to the Warriors, even though reportedly this morning the Mavs and the Kings are both interested. He's going to meet with the Blazers. I think it's today or tomorrow. And the executives are going to sell him on something. But the interesting thing about Damian Lillard, he's actually a very old 32 because he played real college basketball and carried a college program. And for 11 years, he's carried an NBA team. And in the last 2 years, he's had significant injuries, missing about as many games as he plays. Now, we like Dame, but something to remember here is the Blazers have really been in NBA purgatory for the last several years, really most of the last 10, somewhere between 11th and 16th in the league. In fact, over his career, they've averaged 14th. Not good enough to regularly get into the lottery, not good enough to attract star free agents, but you can sneak into the playoffs, and then you get a guy in the draft that's okay, nothing special. So this was a rare year. So Portland, Dame gets hurt, they bought him out, and they get the number 3 pick. They get lucky in the ping pong ball lottery, and they get Scoot Henderson, who just happens to play Dame's position. Younger, little bigger, very dynamic, comes in healthy, can't shoot like Dame, but it all worked out. They literally got Dame's replacement, and yet they're meeting this week. And again, Dame has played 87 games and missed 77 in the last 2 years. So if you're not going to move now, what's the point? There's 2 things to remember here. It doesn't matter if it's a stock. I mean, players to some degree are a little bit like commodities. You invest in something, you hope you can keep it forever. I mean, who wants to day trade stocks? But sometimes you're like, I think it peaked. There's new leadership. I don't feel great about it. We've got a cultural change. So if you look at Dame, last 2 years, a lot of injuries. He is a small athlete starting to get hurt more often. Bad sign. The second thing is the league is pivoting to size and big and length, and Dame's tiny. And so, now's the perfect time. This week, it is screaming, next chapter, turn the page, get Dame to a winner. And it's got sort of a Lions, Rams, Matt Stafford, Jared Goff feel, where Miami is close, but they really need the man to take him over the top. They can keep getting to these finals with Tyler Hero and Jimmy Butler and Bam. They need a Stafford. They need icing. They need the guy to get him over the finish line. That was Stafford to the Rams. He was older. He'd been beat up. But they knew, just in terms of talent and playmaking, Matt's better than Goff. And the Lions, by the way, like the Blazers, got a bunch of draft picks. They kind of wanted to do a reboot. While they did, they got enough in return, the Lions, Jared Goff, so they'd be a viable team. They would be good. They could win games. They could create a culture. They could create momentum. You're not getting nothing for Damian Lillard. You're not getting nothing for him. He's got a market. It's small. He's small. He's aging fast. He's had back-to-back banged-up seasons. But with Dame, you're going to get something. And the other thing that plays into Portland's hands to do it now is that they've got 2 young players they like and Scoot. So the truth is, if they moved off Dame, they could get draft picks, and they could get B-minus players. They would not be great, but they'd be really young and really exciting with a chance to get back into the lottery and get their second lottery pick. So from today until next year's lottery, in 1 year, you could have 2 lottery picks. And Scoot's going to be something special. There's no question that he's a dynamic player. Whether or not he leads you to titles, that may be next year's lottery pick. Supposed to be a pretty good draft. So you do get to a point where, buy low, sell high. It's time to move Dame. For Miami, Dame's got about 2 more years. It's a lot of wear on those tires. He's carried the franchise for over a decade. He carried Weber State for a few years. There's a lot of miles on him. A lot. And a lot of bigger bodies leaning on him and pounding on him. And I don't think he has a lot of great years left, but I do think he probably has 2 to maybe 3. So it's an exciting week. Dame meeting now either today or tomorrow with Blazer executives. I think now's the time. Because they've been in the purgatory in the NBA is 11 to 17. And we looked it up this morning. In Dame's career, they've averaged 14th. Not good enough to get a pick. Not good enough to attract free agents, but not bad enough to really reboot. It's time for both Miami and Portland. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.